Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you the making of a very beautiful and trendy dress design for a 5-year girl as shown in the thumbnail. And I'll use 2.5 meters of this main fabric, and we'll be making frock and the frills of the trouser with this fabric. And for a basic trouser on which we'll attach the frills, I'll use this cotton fabric, and less than a yard of this fabric will be used. So let's get started. First of all, we'll cut the frock and the trouser, and then we'll go for the stitching. So we'll open the fabric like this. I folded it widthwise, as you can see here, and now mark at 11 inches for the length of the bodice, and we'll cut here. So this is the fabric for the bodice. We'll fold it at 16 inches. 16 inches will be the width of front and back bodice both. Trim extra fabric. Fold it once again. So we get 4 layers of fabric. And now, first of all, we'll mark for shoulder at 5.5 inches. For the armhole, I'll mark at 6 inches here. Make a box here like this. At this point, I'll mark for the chest at 6.5 inches. It's 1/4 of the chest, and at 1 inch I'll mark for the cutting. And for the waist, I marked at 6 inches. Join these points. This is the mark for stitching, and this is for cutting. From the mark of cutting, we'll make a shape for back armhole and front armhole like this. For neck width, I'm marking at 2.5 inches, and for neck depth, I'm marking at 3 inches, and for back neck, I'm marking at 1.5 inches for its depth. Now make a box here and draw a shape for the neckline, a round shape like this. And this is for back neckline. Now we'll cut back neckline and back armhole and side first. Separate the back bodice and cut front armhole and front neckline. We'll make a button placket in the center front, and it will be 5 inches long. I've already uploaded a video on how to make the button placket, and I'll give the link in the description. You can check it out there. So I have made the button placket with the same method. The link is given in the description box. And now we'll cut the skirt. For that, we need to know the length of the skirt we want, and we are making a short frock for this dress. So I'll make 13 inches long skirt, and I'll keep 1.5 inch for seam allowance. So it will be 14.5 inches, and to this measurement we'll add 12 inches for the waist. I'm adding 12 inches waist because we'll add gathers on the waistline, so I'm taking it more than normal, almost twice. So adding 12 inches to 14.5, we get 26.5. So we'll mark at 26.5 and fold the fabric from this point like this. Actually, we are going to make an umbrella skirt, so we'll fold the fabric at 26.5, and now we'll mark for the waist. We added 12 inches for the waist, so I'm marking at 12 inch from that corner. So we have marked for the waist, and it is almost twice the actual waist measurement. And from that point, we'll mark for the full length of the skirt, and that is 14.5 inches including seam allowance. We'll give a mark here, and that is at 26.5 from the corner. So we'll mark at 26.5 inches from the corner for the full skirt length. When we'll cut the waist, we'll get the 14.5 inches long skirt including seam allowance. From this part, we'll make the bell for the sleeves. This is our skirt. We'll gather the skirt from the waist because it is wider than normal or the waist measurement, and from this piece of fabric and whatever fabric is left, we'll make the frills for the trouser. So this is the fabric we have now, and we'll make frill for the trousers from this fabric and the cutting here. And now we'll cut the basic trouser first. So this is the fabric we have. It is 25 to 26 inches long fabric, and the width of the fabric is equal to the normal cotton fabric. It's almost 30 to 36 inches almost. So we'll fold the fabric once and once again, so we get 4 layers of fabric. The full length of the trouser when ready is 26 inches, and this piece of fabric is also 26 inches, but we need a few inches shorter trouser than normal because we'll add frills on the basic trouser. So when 2 inches will be folded from the top for elastic waist and 1 inch from the bottom, the length will be adjusted, right? We need a few inches shorter trouser. So first of all, we'll mark at 2 inches from the top for elastic waist, and from that we'll mark for the other measurements. So we'll take 1/4 of the hip measurement, and that is 7 inches in my case. Adding 1 inch for loosing, I'm marking at 8 inches for the hip measurement, and from that point we'll mark at 10 inches for the crotch length, and we'll extend it to 2 inches from here and give a round shape for the crotch area. So this will be the shape of our crotch area. For bottom width, we'll take 4.5 to 5 inches. So I've marked at 4.5 inches and join this point to the crotch area here, and at 1 inch we'll mark for the cutting. And so we'll mark at these points. This is the basic trouser pattern. So we'll cut here. So after cutting, we get this shape of our trouser when we open it. So first we'll mark for the elastic waist at 2 inches. The full length of our trouser is 27 inches, and the crotch length is 10 inches. We'll give a mark 1 inch below the crotch line, that is at 11 inches. So the rest of the length is 16 inches. So we divide this lower area into 2 parts for 2 frills. So each frill would be 8 inches long when ready, right? So first of all, we'll draw a line here that is 1 inch below the crotch line. It's at 11 inches from the top. Now the length of the frill when ready would be 8 inches. So we'll mark at 7 inches, 1 inch less than the length of the frill. So the 2 frills will overlap and the joint won't be visible, right? So we'll mark here. It is at 7 inches from the first line. And now we'll decide the length of the frills when we'll cut them. So we need 8 inches long frill when ready. We'll keep 1 inch for seam allowance for the top and 1/2 inch for folding at the bottom. So we need 1.5 inch more than the length of the frill when ready, right? So it is 9.5 inches. And for the lower frill, apart from the seam allowance and folding, we need 1 more inch extra for overlapping. So it should be 10.5 inches long when cut. So we'll give the same marks on the other leg as well. So we need 2 frills which are 9.5 inches long and 2 frills which are 10.5 inches long. So now we'll cut the frills from the fabric we have now. So this is the piece of fabric we had. We'll cut for the lower frill first. So for the width of the frill, we'll place the trouser on the fabric like this and mark here. The fabric is folded. We have 2 layers for 2 legs, and from the corner it is at 8.5 inches. So we'll mark at 8.5 inches. So this will be the width of the frill. And now for the length of the frill, we need 10.5 inches long frill. So we'll mark at 10.5 inches from here, and this mark is at 19 inches from the corner. So we'll mark at 19 inches. When we'll cut the top part, we'll get 10.5 inches long frill. So this is the frill we got. We'll cut it from one side so we get two separate frills. So these are two frills for two legs of our trouser. And now we'll cut the upper frill, and for that we'll use this left piece of fabric. It is folded. We'll fold it once again like this. So now we have 4 layers of this fabric. Now we'll check out the width of the upper frill from here, and that is 19 inches. Our fabric is folded twice, so we'll find half of this 19 inches, and that is 9.5 inches. So we'll check out where it lies. It comes here, so we'll mark at 9.5 inches from here and check out its length from the corner, and that is at 11 inches. So we'll mark at 11 inches from the corner for the width of the frill. And from here we'll mark for the length of the frill, and that is 9.5 inches. And from the corner it comes at 20.5. So we'll mark at 20.5 from that corner. We'll cut at these two lines. And we'll get 9.5 inches long frill. So these are two frills when we'll open it for both the legs, and 19 inches wide and 9.5 inches long. So we have cut both the frills for the trouser. We'll use this leftover fabric for the sleeves. So one of the sleeve will be folded from the side and the other sleeve will have a joint at one side. We'll place both the folded pieces together, one above the other, and we'll mark for the armhole in the same shape. So it is a random shape for the armhole as we have the fabric in this shape. And now for the bottom width, we'll mark at 4 inches. So this is the armhole. We'll mark at 4 inches for the bottom width. And at 1 inch I marked for the cutting. And now we'll add a bell at the bottom of the sleeves. So when we cut the skirt and the waist part, we got this piece of fabric, and we'll use this piece to make the bell for the sleeves. This is the folded piece of fabric. We'll fold it once again, and we'll place the bottom of our sleeve on it and mark for the width of this bottom. Give a slight curve and cut from here. Keeping a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this is the bell for the sleeve. We'll cut at one side because we need 2 frills or 2 bells for these 2 sleeves. So we have cut the sleeves, and now we'll go for stitching. We'll stitch the trouser first. So these are the lines where frills are to be attached. Draw the same lines on the other leg as well. And now we'll attach the frills in place. And for that we'll take the frills and hem the bottom of the frills first. So simply fold the bottom twice and hem the bottom. So it's done. Now we'll simply place the frills in place. We'll attach the lower frill first. Here, flip the frill like this and match it exactly to the line here and stitch, keeping a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Do the same for the other frill. Place it in place and stitch here. So I've stitched both the frills, the lower frills, and I kept 2 inches at the sides unstitched. We'll stitch it later. So this is how it looks. Now we'll attach the upper frills in the same way. First of all, we'll hem the bottom of the frills. I've hemmed them, you can see here. Now place there, flip the frill and match exactly to the line here and stitch. So I've stitched upper frills, and again I kept 2 inches unstitched at the sides. So both the frills are overlapping, as you can see. So now we have attached both the frills. Match the right sides of both the legs together and stitch the crochet area, but the frills should not come under the stitch line. So fold the frills inside like this and stitch the crochet area here. So I've stitched the crotch line, as you can see here. We'll hem the bottom of the trouser as well, and after hemming the bottom we'll stitch the inside seams, and for that we'll fold the frills inside. That's why we kept 2 inches unstitched at the side. So fold the frills inside, they should not come under the stitch line. Pin here and stitch the inside seam. So I've stitched the seam, as you can see, and now we'll turn the right side out. So the frills have been attached, but the frills are unstitched at the side. So we'll simply stitch the sides of the frill, match the right side together and stitch the side. We'll do the same for all the frills. Match the right side together and stitch the side. So I've stitched the sides of the frills. Now the only part left unstitched is this one that we left in the beginning. So now we'll simply top stitch it. So I've top stitched this part. And now we'll simply attach elastic at the top, and for that take elastic 5 inches less than your waist measurement and attach it to the top part. I'll upload a separate video to show how to attach elastic to a trouser for the beginners. So we have stitched the trouser. It's looking like this, very nice. And now we'll stitch the frock. So this is the bodice, and we made a button placket in the center. The link is given in this description. You go check it out if you don't know how to make a button placket. And now we'll finish the neckline first, and for that we'll cut 2 strips of fabric in the same shape as the neckline. So I've cut 2 strips of fabric. This is for the back neckline in the same shape. We'll trim extra fabric from here. And for the front neckline, we folded the bodice like this because there is a button placket in the center front. Fold the bodice like this and cut the strip in this shape, and it should be longer than the neckline. The reason is, first of all, we'll cut it from the center and place the strip on the neckline starting from this point, and the extra strip should be here. We'll fold it on the wrong side and now stitch it. We'll do the same for the other side. Actually, this is for the nice finishing of the neckline. we'll trim this extra strip, and now we'll stitch the strips on the right side, fold it to the wrong side and finish the neckline. So I finished the neckline, folded the strips on the wrong side and stitched, and I stitched the shoulders as well. And now we'll stitch the sleeves and attach them to the bodice. There is a joint on one of our sleeves, so we'll stitch here and then attach the bell to the sleeves. Simply place the bell here, match the right sides together like this and stitch at the bottom. So I have attached the bell to the sleeve, and now we'll attach the sleeves to the bodice. So open the bodice like this. We'll mark the center of the sleeves to be attached at the shoulder here, and make a deeper slope for the front armhole. And now attach the sleeves. Match the right sides together, pin the center of the sleeve to the shoulder and stitch the armhole. So I've attached the sleeves to the bodice. Now match the right sides together like this and stitch the side seam, starting from the sleeve down to the bodice. Do the same on the other side. Stitch the side seam. So I have stitched the sides and the bodice is done, as you can see here. Now we'll attach the skirt to the bodice. So we'll stitch the skirt first. This is our skirt. We'll hem the bottom of the skirt. Simply fold it twice and stitch. It is better to pin the bottom first for nice finishing. So I've pinned the bottom after folding twice, and now I'm stitching it very easily. And after hemming the bottom of the skirt, we'll gather the waist. So we'll simply slip the fabric under the needle and make gathers at the waistline, because we kept it wider than the normal waist measurement. So I've gathered the waistline and we'll check out the width. It is 25 inches, that is 1 inch more than the waistline, and this 1 inch is for seam allowance. Now we'll fold the skirt like this and stitch the side. So I've stitched the side seam. This will be the center back of our skirt, and now we'll attach the skirt to the bodice. Our bodice is right side out and the skirt is wrong side out, as you can see. Now we'll insert the bodice in the skirt and join the waistlines and stitch all the way around. And before stitching, I pinned the bodice and the skirt so the stitching will be easier. So we have attached the skirt and the bodice, and the frock is also done. We'll attach 2 or 3 buttons at the button placket and the dress is ready. It's looking very nice. Must try it, and I hope you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe my channel, and thank you so much for watching.